Now that we've added a connection to the jQuery code and we've created our own JS file and established a connection to it, we can now write jQuery code in our JS file. I'm going to remove the alert function, and the syntax for jQuery that we use is a $sign and then parentheses. And in this parentheses goes the selector, and then we do dot and the action. Now the first thing that we want to do is we want to protect things, we want to establish what's going to happen when we load. So remember that before we did a window.add event listener, and we used the event load. So the way that we do that in jQuery is we simply say document. So this is going to be for the whole document, and that's our selector, and then it's .ready. And the way that this action works is it will wait until the whole page is loaded, and then it will run this function. And then in here is where we're going to put our function, and we're going to go ahead and use an anonymous function. So we're just going to write the whole function right here and not give it a name. So there's our parentheses and then our curly braces. So now we have, as the parameter of ready, we have an entire function, which is what we want. Now anything we put in here will not execute until the page is loaded. So that way we know that we can access any element in the HTML file. So anything that's in there, we now have access to, so we can access anything. Notice that in this HTML file, we have pretty simple set of elements. We have one div element, and that div element has two headings, right? Two heading 2 elements and 3 images. Now notice we don't see any of the images. And the reason we're not seeing them is because the width and the height are set to 0. And then down here, we have a button. So there's the button. Now you'll notice there's quite a bit of style that has been added to make these the size that we want. And all of those are found in style.css. So those have already been styled for you, and we don't need to worry about that. All right, so that's our very first jQuery function. And now we're going to write everything inside here so that we know that it won't start until the page loads. And the first thing that we want to do is we're going to make these headings. So we're going to do some animation on these headings. And notice that the first one has class set to Sue. And let's go ahead and play with that one first. So our selector, jQuery uses CSS selectors. So you know how to use CSS selectors, and that will come in really handy here. So we put that in quotes. Notice the document we didn't need to put in quote, but that's an exception. From now on, we're going to put the selectors in quotes, and they can be single quotes or double quotes. And I'm going to do, remember we're to use a class in CSS, we use the dot, and then the name of the value of the class attribute. So now this will capture all elements that have class equal to Sue. And we only have one, so it will capture that one. All right? And then we do dot and the action that we want to do. Well, I'm going to use the slide up action. So slide up, open paren, close paren, and I'm going to save that and then come back here and refresh, and we'll see what the slide up does. Whoa, did you see that? It slid up, right? Let me refresh that so you can watch it again. Remember that there were 2 heading 2s, and it took that first one and it slid it up, okay? Now, we can put a value here in slide up, and we can say, we could say slide up slow, so refresh. And there we go. And that went slower. We can go fast and refresh. Okay, did you see it? That was pretty fast. Try again. And that was faster. The other thing that you can put in here in the slide up function is the number of milliseconds. So I could say, I want it to do this over 1200 milliseconds. So I could save that and refresh. And then you notice that it slides up fast. So notice what it's doing. It's sliding up and going away.